we just saw one of the craziest, wackiest pro wrestling pay-per-view main events of all time. And yes, I realize it's 2020. I realize we've had a boneyard match, a funhouse match. We've had matches on top of matches that have had somewhat of a cinematic feel, but I gotta tell you, this match right here, the Stadium Stampede from All Elite Wrestling, may have just topped everything, including AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. What's up, folks? Fred Richani, TSC, your home for pro wrestling news, updates, interviews, and everything in between. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. Wow. So, where to begin? Now, I'm not going to lie. It's been a long time since this whole pandemic started and everything else, or at least it feels like a long time, since I've watched the pro wrestling show straight through. As you know, it's a little tough to watch empty arena wrestling. It was meant for a crowd. It's not the fault of the performers. You could also make the strong argument wrestling right now isn't essential compared to other small businesses, so on and so forth. But there's been a few things that have really kind of gotten me back into it, right? There's the old school aspect of the build-up of some of these AEW matches, the great video packages, the countdown show that they had. There's the involvement of Mike Tyson, the intrigue there presenting the TNT Championship. And, of course, there is the public news, of course, that AEW is indeed doing COVID-19 testing on a fairly regular basis, which, oh, by the way, I don't think WWE is doing right now, which made me feel a lot more comfortable watching AEW. And I finally, after a couple of months, decided, you know what? It's been a really depressing week. It's been a really depressing period. I'm ready to sit down and enjoy the show and watch a full AEW show straight through. And I got to say, I was not disappointed. Now, before we dive into the recap, rest in peace, Hana Kimura. She passed away at the all too young age of 22, believed to be due to self-harm via cyberbullying. She was on a Netflix reality show, which I guess the way she was portrayed caused her to be harassed like crazy online, and just super tragic, super unfortunate. As somebody that's worked with the anti-bullying charity for over a decade, yeah, it hits close to home. It absolutely sucks, and there's no place for it. So God bless her. My deepest condolences go out to her loved ones. Just terrible. There'll be more to say about it, but man, just a huge loss in pro wrestling, a rising star. By all accounts, a wonderful young woman. And yeah, man, all I can say is online abusers got to be held more accountable. Social networks got to do a better job. In addition to that, employers, reality show producers, they got to do a better job too, not just in this situation in Japan, but just in general, man. The exploitation of these characters on reality TV, I mean, could lead to some serious consequences. Also, of course, we lost Shad Gaspard of Crime Time, former WWE superstar, actor, writer, stuntman. He also did some work for God of War, which is freaking awesome. He passed away after drowning, trying to save his son when they both got caught in a riptide. Just really sad stuff all around. Both gone way too soon. My deepest condolences to their loved ones. And I'm very glad that AEW on this broadcast throughout the show not only shouted out Shad and Hana Kimura, but they also talked about the real world stuff. We're in a freaking pandemic here. Unlike WWE, they did not ignore reality. And in a sense, they kind of were there for you like a friend. What you want a promotion to be. Right? Same thing with your local sports team. They said, hey, this sucks, and we hope you're all staying safe and everything else. And by the way, we've all been tested, and they mentioned all that, and they did a great job. And even UFC, which I've been critical of, did that as well for the last couple of weeks. So I got to give credit where credit's due. Whether or not WWE is actually testing or going to be testing, that remains to be seen. But sometimes it's good to let your guard down and be a little human for your audience. That's all I got to say about that. So let's transition to the pay-per-view itself. Man, where do I start? I guess we'll start from the beginning here. And by the way, if you're watching live, please feel free to click the like button, share this with all your friends, and enable notifications because we go live often. So, some broadcast notes here. Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur were on commentary. The wrestlers and some friends of wrestlers were in the crowd. Big Swole was there, and she was just awesome. Some notable people in the crowd. American Top Team's Dan Lambert, as seen in Impact Wrestling and The Ultimate Fighter. Vitor Belfort, UFC legend. That was random. I don't know if he's still planning an MMA comeback or not. I know he was thinking about doing something with Bellator, or maybe he officially did, but Yeah, Vitor Belfort's there. And Vickie Guerrero. So that was interesting. And Dasha Curette, the former WWE Backstage personality, was filling in for Justin Roberts, so she was our announcer for this evening. We kick things off with a number one contenders match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. The Best Friends versus Private Party. By the way, if you want to follow along with my recap, I wrote an in-depth report on FredRichani.com. That's my new website. My name, FredRichani.com. It's right on the front page. The Best Friends, Trent and Chuck Taylor, defeated Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn to earn a title shot. They hit the strong 0 double foot stomp slam for the win. Pretty good match here. I really liked it. I thought Private Party needed the win more because ever since they upset the Bucks a few months back in that great match on TV, they've kind of floundered for the most part. But if the long-term plan is to eventually put over Private Party and the current plan is not to take the tag titles off of Page and Omega right now, then I guess this makes sense. I wouldn't have Best Friends beat them right now, especially after tonight with the stadium match. I think if Hangman and Omega are going to drop the tag titles, they should do it to either Private Party or they should eventually drop them to the Young Bucks in a rematch of the epic match they had back in February. But really good stuff. We had a match that was very polarizing. This casino ladder match for the AEW World title shot. A giant poker chip hung up top, and each guy entered after a certain amount of time, and the ring eventually filled up with Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Joey Janela, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and the debuting Brian Cage, former Impact Wrestling World Champion, former Lucha Underground star. He was accompanied by Taz. He won this match after Gorilla Press slamming Darby Allin with a ladder in tow. This is polarizing, at least for me, because while the action was good, while I like pretty much all the guys involved, my God, some of these risks were just insane. The Gorilla Press slam that Darby Allin took at the end was bad, but he tried his, I don't know what you call it, whatever the skateboard movie does with like the foot stomp, or he dives and instead of doing for just a foot stomp, he has the skateboard underneath, kind of like the old Arabian face buster from Sabu back in the day as well. For a minute, remembers ECW, and he did this. I don't remember who he did this on, but he dove off this big ass ladder onto the person with the skateboard, slammed through the ladder, landed badly. It looked like he broke his leg. Now, he did continue the match, but we don't know what the long-term effects are. Britt Baker just got injured on the show on Dynamite last week, earlier this week, I should say. Phoenix got injured. Matt Jackson had his ribs taped up. You'd think they would have watched Wednesday night and said, you know what? Maybe we should dial back some of the unnecessary spots and risks. And I know it's hard to do that in a ladder match, but you can make the strong argument. Maybe you don't need a ladder match right now when you have no fans and during a freaking pandemic when it's not the best time to go to a hospital right now. Just saying. Even if your hospital is not overwhelmed. Still, there is a risk out there, and man, Darby Allin took a lot of them, and I'm a big fan of his character, his promo work. I think he's a good wrestler too, but there are times where I just see risks like this, and he's toned it down a bit lately, but man, this was just all-time dumb. I'm sorry. God bless him. This was just all-time dumb. It really was, and yeah, I hope he's okay, because this was not good. Too many freaking risks. Just because the Hardy Boys are somehow alive and well and live to tell about it after all their crazy matches doesn't mean you got to emulate them now, especially with everything we know about concussions and injuries and bum cards and everything else over time. I get it. It's a big show. You don't do this every show, but come on, man. I think this isn't just the AEW thing. I think overall WWE, AEW should probably dial it back a bit. We've seen tonight, especially with the Stadium Stampede and with the Boneyard match and everything else, sometimes less is more. Sometimes you should enhance the entertainment aspect of matches in wrestling more than the physicality, especially when it comes to, again, taking crazy risks like this with no fans. So, hope you're okay, Darby. We had probably my second favorite match of the night, or third favorite. I mean, there were all the matches were really good. This one was excellent up to this point. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, defeated Jungle Boy, a.k.a. Jungle Jack Perry, as Jim Ross likes to call him. Excellent old school match that had some different modern day spots mixed in We had a Canadian Destroyer, a reverse run on the apron, an outside dive. I'm not hating on this match. It was a great match. This is just more of a cultural thing with wrestling. I am really sad as somebody that's old enough to remember P. Williams' debut in the Canadian Destroyer. I'm really sad that that's no longer a finisher and it's now a transitioning spot. That sucks. Please, somebody, wake up in one of these promotions and say, you know what? The Canadian Destroyer should only be reserved for a finish or a setup to a finish. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. I remember being a kid on LimeWire, and all of a sudden I see that freaking 1 minute video of P.D. Williams doing the Canadian Destroyer. It looks so damn cool, and now everybody does it. And everybody kicks out of it. Not a fan of that. Other than that, excellent match. Excellent match. My only complaint here, only real complaint here from a booking standpoint, I think Jungle Boy should have got the win. I feel like he's long overdue for that signature win. I thought eventually they were going to build up to him upsetting Chris Jericho or maybe upsetting one member of the Inner Circle. And instead, he had a great match with MJF here, but he lost. And look, AEW has done a really good job with their young talent, especially compared to WWE over the last year. But I feel like Jungle Boy, if he doesn't get a win soon, is going to get to the point where, you like what you see, and he just keeps losing. It's like Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander, got all these big wins and then kept losing. Same thing with Ricochet. Like at some point, this kid's got to get a big win. Hopefully it'll come soon. But man, if there was any doubt that these two guys are the future cornerstones of the company, I mean, just watch this match and that'll erase any doubts you have. Just fantastic work from all involved. Really good stuff. MJF got the pin with what Excalibur called a modified European clutch pin combination. Just great stuff here. Really good stuff. We had the tournament final for the AEW TNT title, aka the AEW TV Championship. This was a pretty good match. I do feel like it lacked a bit. Yes, every match lacks without a crowd. But I feel like Cody matches in particular, since they're a little bit slower paced, they're a little more old school feel and everything. I think this could have used the crowd, since this feud has been pretty hot and everything else. I thought they could have protected Archer a little bit more. Rhodes got the win with not one but two crossroads back to back. There was a brief distraction where Lance Archer was on the top, kind of like on the top rope, walking the top rope like old school, like The Undertaker. Was distracted by Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson didn't play a gigantic role in the match, and I was kind of hoping he'd play a bigger role, maybe knock somebody out. But still, match started off hot. Lance Archer threw Cody Rhodes into the crowd. Mike Tyson at one point even ripped off his shirt. He looks physically incredible. This guy, I mean, man, just a marvel. I hope he's doing okay overall health-wise, because physically he looks great. And if you believe the rumors that he may fight Evander Holyfield in a charity boxing match, I mean, my God, that actually could be pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie. Even though these dudes are old and CT is real, but that could be a lot of fun. And afterwards, he handed the title to Rhodes. They celebrated. Cool moment. Cool moment. Gives AEW some nice press. Hopefully this isn't the last we've seen of Iron Mike Tyson. Chris Statlander defeated Penelope Ford. Good match, just a little short. And Britt Baker, I think this was overshadowed by the sad Britt Baker news that she injured her knee. According to Dr. Michael Sampson, Britt Baker has a ligament and tendon tear along with a fracture, and she's going to be out for some time. She's going to address the fans on Wednesday Night Dynamite. I like that Sampson said, while her injuries are bad, the patient is worse. That was kind of funny. This was the low point of the show. Dustin Rhodes defeated Shawn Spears. Maybe I'm the only guy that likes Shawn Spears, but I really do think they could do more with the guy, and I thought they did a great job building him up last year at the original Double or Nothing show. Or was it Double or Nothing, or was it All Out? I don't remember which one it was. Whatever show it was. Maybe it wasn't Double or Nothing. Whatever the pay-per-view was he debuted last summer, he had that match with Cody Rhodes. They built up that feud so well. He had Tully Blanchard in his corner. He had the cool contacts and everything else, and then he lost. And then he lost again, and he lost again, and he lost again, and he had a very weird feud with Joey Janela, and then he lost again. Then he was looking for a tag team partner, and that storyline magically got dropped. Look, I know Shawn Spears ain't Roman Reigns, okay? But you're obviously paying him some money. You obviously built him up well at the beginning. You obviously saw something in him. Throw him a bone. Something. I like Dustin Rhodes a lot too. And again, look, the Shawn Spears ain't a hell you need to die on, okay? I'm just saying, I'm just making an observation. You got the guy. He's a solid worker. Give him some wins here and there. Instead, he was stripped down to his underwear. On the crotch of his underwear, he had a picture of Tully Blanchard. That was weird. But, hey, 2020, it's all good. And afterwards, Dustin Rhodes hit the final reckoning finisher and celebrated with his sister-in-law, Brandy Rhodes. Nothing match, complete squash. Just something to make Shawn Spears look like an ass. Okay, cool. We had an awesome... Well, actually, before this, we had the no DQ match. But before that, they paid tribute to Hana Kimura. Really classy gesture. Excalibur talked about how we all need to be kinder to each other and reflect on this. And just a very, very beautiful tribute by AEW. Very classy tribute. And I like the fact that they're very similar to Bellator and Strikeforce, which was also under President Scott Coker, where they don't ignore the fact that there's another wrestling world out there, right? They don't ignore the fact that, okay, we're in our bubble and nothing else matters. Same thing with WWE. It's like, oh yeah, you don't exist. Even UFC sometimes acknowledges the outside MMA world, whereas WWE just, it's kind of very isolationist. So I really appreciated this. They also kind of talked about the history that Brody Lee and Jon Moxley had in their world title match. So that it's just a nice human touch. Sometimes you need to be a little human, right? So we had a no DQ match for the AEW Women's title. Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose to win it. Awesome match. I know I'm going to keep saying that, but this was an awesome match. Nyla Rose was the only woman coming in here that had pinned Shida in 2020 so far. This started out real physical. Nyla slammed Shida through the makeshift gambling table outside. She even scared Billy Gunn. Big Swole was awesome all night on the sidelines. Nyla had possession of the kendo stick, but Shida eventually got it back. Lots of near falls here. Shida reversed the Beast Bomb with the Hurricanrana. She superplexed Nyla at one point, which was crazy. She hit a forearm shiver and the running knee for the win. Just really good stuff here. And afterwards, the announcers put over Shida as this very likable person. If you follow her on social media, she's so likable. She's learning English. She's learning American customs. She's vlogging about it. She's just like the most adorable person on earth. And on top of that, in the ring, she's an absolute badass and a great performer, great wrestler. And, from what I understand, she was friends with Hana Kimura, and they talked about that and what an emotional week it was for her and how this is such a nice moment. And afterwards, the announcers talked about, and I'm paraphrasing here, you could seek it out yourself to hear like Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, Excalibur's official statements. But they essentially said, isn't it great that we have this beautiful art, this beautiful sport that is pro wrestling, that can keep our minds off of this and everything else. And they once again reiterated, hey, we've all been COVID-19 tested. I mean, it's so reassuring, and I like that. I love that. That's the one thing you love about, if you're talking about just sports, your sports announcer, you want to feel like you know them, or your favorite podcaster. Like you want to feel, especially in times like these, right? You want to feel like that they care, that they're there for you, that they're right by your side. And I totally felt that way listening to these guys talk about the pandemic, talk about Hana Kimura, and talk about how this is such an emotional, great moment for Hikaru Shida. So well done by AEW. We then had the AEW World Title match. Another awesome match. Jon Moxley defeated Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper of the Dark Order, to retain the AEW World Title. Similarly to the Lance Archer match, a part of me thought that maybe they should have protected Harper a little bit more. I hate interference, but maybe had some crazy interference by, you know what I mean, or something. I'm not saying do a DQ or maybe do like a quick pinning combination, just something to keep the feud going or protect Harper down the road. But at the same time, as somebody that's been conditioned to see BS finish after BS finish in WWE, not lately, but over the years, and to a lesser extent, Impact Wrestling in the old days back when they were relevant as TNA. This is a nice change of pace. It's nice to see people win clean here. And then, a lot of people kind of made a big deal about how, AEW said they were going to be more sports-based, and they haven't always been sports-based. Well, winning clean, a winner, a definitive winner, and a definitive loser, that's definitely sports-based. And, in all honesty, I really can't complain about that, I guess. So, Jon Moxley beat Brody Lee with a bulldog choke. The referee stopped the match. The announcers emphasized that technically Brody Lee didn't tap out, but The referee did save Brody Lee, kind of like a referee would in MMA. So that makes sense. They traded some hard shots. They suplexed each other through the ringside tables. They hit a double drop kick. There was an awesome spot where Moxley hit the paradigm shift, Dirty Deeds DDT through the ramp, or through the rampway, whatever, through the wood. Lee was busted open. Feels weird calling him Lee. I want to call him Harper. And then he got caught on the bulldog choke. Referee stopped the match. Awesome stuff. And yeah, I don't think that Lee should have won the title yet. Way too soon. Moxley's got momentum. Moxley is arguably their biggest star other than Chris Jericho. Keep him protected. I think they should keep the title on him until they could run shows in front of like a real crowd again. I mean, he's on fire. He's on fire. He carries himself like the badass he should have been portrayed as in WWE. And it's just a pleasure to continue to watch him grow in AEW because he was a guy for a while that seemed to lose his passion, seemed to lose his desire. It was just running through the motions. And in AEW, he's a different guy, and he's a great guy. And then we had the highlight of the night, the Stadium Stampede match at the empty Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium, TIA Bank Field. This was great. We had on one side Broken Matt Hardy and the Elite of Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, taking on the inner circle of Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz. This was immediately awesome because each wrestler was introduced individually with NFL-style entrances, complete with fire, pyro, and even the Jags cheerleaders with face masks, which was a nice touch. And then Hangman Adam Page, and I embedded a GIF of this on fredrichani.com if you want to check it out. Hangman Adam Page comes in with the freaking horse. With the horse. And he chases Sammy Guevara across the field and backstage in the stadium with the horse. I love Hangman Adam Page. I love the Hangman horse. This is great. This is great. So they all meet at the 50-yard line. They start brawling with a variety of weapons. Kenny had a broom. I really feel like they got to do a better job. And even though it's been almost a year, I feel like they still got to do a better job of why Kenny Omega's called the freaking cleaner. Seriously. Okay, do a video package or something about why he's called the cleaner. Maybe I missed it in my break from watching AEW, but still, minor detail. Whew. So they were brawling. There was a ring at the 50-yard line as well. Matt Jackson had his ribs taped up from getting injured. There were a lot of notable spots here. It'd be impossible to list all of them, but here's a few. Guevara hit a big shooting star press on the outside. Matt Jackson did a moonsault off the goalposts. Omega and Hardy had a hockey-style brawl with Hager, Santana, and Ortiz in the crowd. Hangman and his horse kept roaming around for Guevara. Omega was powerbombed by Ortiz and Santana through one of the concourse tables. Hardy was thrown into the shallow pool. If you don't know, there's a pool and a hot tub at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. It was originally put in there, not just because it's kind of cool, but because the team wasn't doing so well, and then they got good, and they didn't do well again, and who knows how they're going to do this coming season, assuming there is an NFL season. Although, for any football fans out there, believe it or not, I actually think the AFC South is winnable. I mean, Bill O'Brien is tearing apart the Texans. Phillip Rivers may be done for in Indy. You know, the Titans, who knows if they can repeat the same success with Tannehill now that he got paid and secured the bag. So, it could be anyone's division, especially with all the lack of training camps and stuff. So, anyway, Ortiz and Santana then started drowning Matt Hardy in the pool, and he was resurrected as Matt Hardy version 1 with Matt Hardy version 1 gear, with a Matt Hardy version 1 graphics for anybody that remembers his gimmick from the early 2000s, which is amazing. And he just kept reciting these Matt facts and beat them up. And then he was resurrected as Broken Matt Hardy again and threw them into the pool. And Ortiz was like, I can't swim, even though it was only 3 feet. And oh my God, this is hilarious. And this is great. So then Ortiz was put on top of a table. Hardy backdropped Santana on top of Ortiz through a table. Hardy brought Ortiz to the giant bell and literally told it. And then he taped Ortiz to a wheelchair, threw Santana and locked him in a freezer. We cut to Hangman Page. Oh, God. We cut to Hangman Page who was just casually drinking at the bar. And Hager approaches him. They're both sharing a drink. He says, do you want a drink or you want to fight? They take a sip of whiskey. They start brawling. Man, at one point, Hager hits a gut wrench bomb on Hangman onto the freaking pool table. That was ridiculous. Hager also hit him with a pool stick. Hangman had flipped off the bar and the pool table, but got caught and slammed on the table. Then Omega came to Hangman's aid and hit a knee. Buckshot Larry by Hangman and Hager sent him over the bar. They then drank a shot of milk and whiskey. Full disclosure, I don't drink, so I don't know if milk and whiskey is a popular beverage amongst the Canadians from Winnipeg, but hey, to each their own. I'm more of a seltzer and kombucha guy. Back to the field, Matt Jackson and Guevara were countering everything in the book, and then Matt Jackson proceeded to hit consecutive rolling Northern Lights suplexes all across the football field into the end zone. He got flagged for excessive celebration and then super kicked the male ref. That was hilarious. Jericho and Nick Jackson were brawling on the sideline. Jericho hit him with the chains that measured, the field position. Jericho then screamed at Nick Jackson with the megaphone and then got hit with it. Nick Jackson, found a bag of footballs and threw them all at Jericho's groin. That was just straight out of Simpsons and Sideshow Bob. Jags mascot Jackson DeVille, no relation to Sonya Deville, at least I don't think so, got hit with Jericho's Judas effect spinning elbow, John Jones style. Then Jericho mocked Nick Jackson with a cone, only gets to get super kicked in the kicker's net, and they said, it's good. Yes, every football pun was made here. It was hilarious. Jericho got a 2 count on Jackson, and he challenged the play, so referee Aubrey Edwards went to the booth and reviewed the play. The ruling stands. It's only a 2 count. Matt Jackson suplexed Guevara into the end zone, as I mentioned, got flagged and super kicked the ref. He then came to save his brother Nick as Jericho was attacking Nick with a bat named Floyd. A baseball bat, not an actual bat. Matt Jackson put Jericho on a table as Nick Jackson ran up and down the stadium steps. It looked horrible and dove for a frog splash. I think it was intentionally supposed to look that bad. Oh, God. Then Hangman painted a white line across Jericho's body. We then cut to Sammy Guevara, who's crawling to safety across the field, but he accidentally set off the sprinklers. He comes to his senses and thinks, hey, I won. But he was wrong, and then all of a sudden, reminiscent of the scene a few weeks ago on AEW Dynamite, Hardy and Omega are driving a golf cart. Are driving a freaking golf cart, and Sammy Guevara's life flashes before his very eyes. He goes, oh my freaking God. He tries to run. He runs up the stadium. This is great. And then Hardy brawls with him. Hardy starts to get choked by Guevara, but he's distracted by Hardy's new drone, Neo-1, Neo-1. It stands for, I don't know what the acronym stands for, whatever. Vanguard 1, you may recall, got destroyed. And then Omega hits a massive one-winged angel from the stadium seating all the way down to the field level platform through some type of, I don't know if it was crash pad or what. It wasn't a table. It was like some wooded area. It looked like where they'd set up if NFL Network was on site covering this game. And then Omega got the pin. 1, 2, 3. Team Elite wins. We got the celebratory Gatorade bath. This was a spectacle. And Team Elite wins. This was fantastic. We also got an announcement about All Out. The All Out pay-per-view is set for September 5th. That is a Saturday. The location is to be determined. That is going to be taking place Labor Day weekend. Wow. Overall, massive thumbs up for AEW Double or Nothing 2020. This was the distraction, the positivity, the wackiness, the action that all us wrestling fans needed during these insanely trying and at times very tragic times. So thank you, Tony Khan. Thank you, AEW. Much respect to all the performers and staff involved. This was an absolute home freaking run of a show. And I don't know if I would have said that going into this because, this pay-per-view was just kind of there and TV was just kind of there. And By all accounts, Dynamite wasn't well received this past week, but listen, man, when AEW is on, it is on. But for real, folks, Darby Allin, all y'all, tone it back a bit. Please, make it more entertainment-based like you did tonight. Limit some of the risks like we saw in that ladder match and everything else. Okay? Have as many controlled risks or calculated risks as humanly possible. You know, not the skateboard thing, man. You got to dial it back. I'm sorry, Darby. You got to dial it back. As somebody that's a fan that wants to see you live and prosper long after wrestling, please dial it back. But overall, massive thumbs up. So let's go to the live stream here. Oof Boy says, this was a 10 out of 10. Telvin Kipapa, my Hawaiian brother, says, awesome event from top to bottom. First wrestling pay-per-view I've bought since WrestleMania 29. I was there live for that. It was 2013. Wow. WrestleMania 29. This was definitely worth it. LimeWire is where I got my songs back in the day. Yeah, the struggle was real. Shawn Spears really needs a win on the roster. I agree. What a freaking amazing main event. And also shout out to the new AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida. Yep. Michael Appel loves the show. TK says, Moxley versus Cage program should be fun. That's right. Brian Cage earned a world title shot. He'll be getting that down the road. The other thing that might be a turnoff, not for me, but for some other people, maybe younger fans aren't familiar with some of these older wrestlers, understandably so. There's a lot of managers. There's a lot of older wrestlers managing talent. And I love managers. Believe me, I love managers. But they might want to tone that down a bit. Also, the spot where Arn Anderson gets tossed out of ringside. This guy gets tossed out of ringside. That girl gets tossed out of ringside. They got to dial that back a bit too. It's getting a little overboard. It's getting a little too reoccurring in my opinion. That Give Me a Hell Yeah podcast says, that was a lot of fun and Moxley is way fresher in AEW than he is in WWE. I agree. Totally agree. I could watch a full 3 hours of Stadium Stampede. Yep. Matt Fact version 1. Matt is a former Cruiserweight champion. Terrence Sullivan says, sounds like a great show. My Miami Hurricane brother, it was a great show, and if you have a chance to watch it, brother, I would definitely catch it. Mike Spangler says, I love that Hangman Page had a horse. David Schneider says, the horse made its AEW debut. That was definitely worth my $50. Great job, AEW. David Darniel says, I paid $50 and literally got to watch 13 minutes of it because I came in late and it won't let me watch from the start. That is not good. So, for anybody that's listening right now from BR Live or AEW or whatever, please fix that because my boy ordered this pay-per-view. He wants to watch it, and it's a damn shame if he can't watch the pay-per-view and can't watch it on replay. David Darniel said, please kindly fix that. Man, but overall, what can I say? Fantastic show. Folks, if you enjoyed this recap show, whether you're watching on YouTube and Facebook or listening on the podcast feed, we appreciate it if you would subscribe. We'd appreciate it if you would check out our new website, fredrichani.com. That's my name, FredRichani.com. We'll be doing a lot more wrestling coverage on there. I missed writing. I missed having a website, so we just launched this past week. I hope you can support us. Please don't forget, whether you have this on podcast feed or whether you're on YouTube or wherever, please be sure to enable notifications so you know anytime we have a new podcast up, anytime we have a live show, any breaking news, please enable notifications so we can have you covered from top to bottom. Until then, folks, please stay safe. May God rest Hana Kimura's soul. May God rest Shad Gaspard's soul. Again, my deepest condolences, go out to all the families, all the loved ones, all the fans affected. For everybody that's affected by the pandemic, please be kind to each other. Be there for each other. Enough of this BS of, oh, wear a mask, all this. Stop the BS, all right? Be kind to each other. Be nice to one another. Spread some positivity. Do your part to pay it forward any way you can. God bless y'all. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for the support. And until next time, you know how it ends. As always, enjoy the matches.